I never thought I'd be sharing a story like this, but here I am, trying to get it off my chest. Last weekend, my wife Hannah, 38, took our daughter Lily, 13, away for a girls' weekend with her mom. I couldn't go. Being a firefighter means I often miss family events. We both thought it would be nice for them to spend some quality time together, so I didn't think twice about it. Then everything changed on Saturday night. While I was at the firehouse, preparing for a call, my phone buzzed. Normally, I'd ignore personal calls, but something made me check it. When I saw 6 missed texts from Lily and several from an unknown number, my heart sank. Lily was in the hospital. She had fallen while ice skating with friends and broke her wrist. To make matters worse, she couldn't be treated because they couldn't find Hannah. The unknown number turned out to be Beth, one of Hannah's friends. She had rushed to the hospital with Lily, trying to reach Hannah, but Hannah was nowhere to be found. Panicking, I checked our location sharing app and found Hannah at a hotel. Staring at the screen felt like a punch in the gut. Hours had passed since Lily was admitted, and Hannah was at a hotel instead of being with our daughter. I felt the urge to blow up her phone, but I forced myself to stay calm. Lily was my priority. I called Beth, who assured me Lily was stable but needed Hannah's insurance info for treatment. Desperate, I asked if Beth had any idea where Hannah might be. "I don't want to be the one to tell you this." Beth hesitated, "but Hannah's out with some guy." I needed to sit down. My wife was with another man while our daughter was in the ER. I was working hard to support our family, and she was sneaking off behind my back. Eventually, I returned home, but felt hollow, a facade of the life I thought we shared. I tried to sleep but couldn't shake the anger and heartbreak. Early the next morning, still without any word from Hannah, I knew I needed answers. I drove to her mom's house. Carol, her mom, looked surprised to see me. I cut straight to the chase. "Where's Hannah?" I asked bluntly. She pointed upstairs. "She's with Lily." I went up, hearing Lily chatting with Hannah, as if everything was normal, which only fueled my anger. I opened the door, and they turned to look at me, startled. I greeted Lily but focused on Hannah. "What the hell is going on?" I demanded. "Lily's in the ER, and you're off with some guy? I know you were at a hotel, Hannah." Hannah's face went pale. "I'm sorry, Mark." "Sorry?" I cut her off. "Who's Alex? How long has this been happening?" She bit her lip. "A few months." I felt sick. I had been breaking my back for this family while she snuck around with him. "I can't believe this," I said, disgusted. "Instead of talking to me, you decided to destroy our family?" She started to cry, but I felt unmoved. I'd seen her tears before. "I didn't mean for it to go this far, Mark," she sobbed. "I thought it was just a phase." "A phase?" I scoffed. "This was a choice. You made that choice every time you snuck off." She tried to claim she didn't want to lose me, but the truth was clear. She had already lost me. "We're getting a divorce," I said. Her eyes widened. "You can't be serious." "I'm dead serious. I won't stay married to someone who cheats on me. I'll talk to a lawyer." Stunned, she fell silent. I turned to leave, unable to look at her any longer. Downstairs, I found Lily with Carol, a bowl of cereal in front of her. I forced a smile, desperately trying to hide my turmoil. Whatever came next, I needed to keep it together for her. Update 1. After that day, I drove around aimlessly, lost in thought. I had no idea where to go. Arriving home, I sat in my car, staring at the house that felt so alien. I forced myself inside, but the silence hit me hard. This place had once felt like home, but now it was hollow. I called a divorce lawyer, and making that call felt like a punch to the gut. I scheduled a consultation for later that week. Meanwhile, I had to figure out how to talk to Lily about the divorce, my hardest challenge yet. She didn't deserve any of this. 2 days later, I picked Lily up from school, dreading our conversation. "Hey, Lil, can we talk for a minute?" I asked. "Sure, what's up?" she replied. "Your mom and I aren't going to be together anymore. We're getting a divorce." I heard her take a sharp breath. "Is it because of that guy?" Her words struck me. She knew somehow. She was already aware. "What do you mean?" I asked, trying to stay calm. "I saw her with him when we were at Grandma's," she said. "They didn't think I noticed, but I saw them hugging." My 13-year-old daughter had witnessed that, and I hadn't even known. "I'm so sorry, Lily," I said. "I'll always be here for you. We'll work through this together." As we sat in silence, I knew I had to help Lily navigate this turmoil and ensure she knew she was loved. Update 2: a week later, I finally met with Hannah again at a coffee shop. When she walked in, my stomach twisted. Seeing her made all the hurt rush back, but I reminded myself why I was there. "Thank you for coming," I said. "I want to talk about everything." "I'm sorry," she replied. "Apologies won't change the fact that you betrayed my trust. You were supposed to be there for Lily and me," I shot back. "I know. I've been unhappy," she said. "So cheating was the answer?" I scoffed. She looked down, her eyes glistening. "I didn't mean to hurt you. I'm moving forward with this divorce," I said firmly. Silence hung heavy as I walked out of that coffee shop, feeling the finality of it all. I had to keep moving forward for myself and for Lily. I stood by the door as they got out of the car, forcing myself to stay calm. Thank goodness Lily was with her friend, sparing her from this painful scene. Hannah barely acknowledged me as she marched straight to the bedroom, intent on packing her things. Alex lingered by the car, awkward and unsure, but I couldn't muster the energy to acknowledge him. As Hannah packed, tension filled the house. I wanted to scream at her, to express the hurt she had caused, but what was the point? The woman I once knew was gone. When she finally emerged, bags in hand, our eyes met for the first time. "I'm sorry," she murmured. I stared, feeling a mix of disbelief and anger. "No, you're not." Just like that, she was gone. Years of marriage, shattered. Update 3: the court hearing arrived sooner than I expected. Hannah had filed for spousal support, and there we were, facing each other in the sterile courtroom. She had moved in with Alex, yet now she was asking for my money, the very money I had earned while she was betraying me. That morning, I woke up filled with anxiety, rehearsing my lines over and over. Arriving early at the courthouse, I felt the electric tension in the air, couples caught in their own disputes. I waited outside, sifting through paperwork, when Hannah arrived, striding in like she owned the place, Alex trailing behind her. When the judge entered, the proceedings began. I felt my mind drift as the judge flipped through documents until he focused on Hannah's request for spousal support. "Mrs. Hart, you're requesting monthly support payments?" he asked. "Yes, Your Honor," she replied, feigning sweetness. I leaned forward, frustration bubbling over. "That's outrageous. You've been with that guy, and now you want my money?" The judge shot me a stern look. "Mr. Hart, this isn't your moment to speak. Allow your lawyer to address the court." I slumped back in my seat, overwhelmed. My lawyer presented my case, Hannah's affair, my role as the primary caregiver, and how I had supported our family through thick and thin. When it was my turn to speak, I rose. "Your Honor, I acknowledge Hannah's claims, but I've been the sole provider for years. My wife hasn't been the stay-at-home mother she pretends to be. The judge nodded slightly, and I could see Hannah fidgeting. Moreover, I continued, I've taken care of everything: the mortgage, utilities, and Lily's school fees. I'm not refusing support, but it's unjust for her to receive spousal support on top of what I've already provided, especially since she chose to leave. The judge then turned to Hannah. Mrs. Hart, do you wish to respond? Hannah hesitated. Your Honor, the affair is irrelevant. I still require support to maintain my standard of living. The absurdity of her words struck me. The judge shook his head, disappointed. While the affair may not be directly relevant, it certainly highlights the circumstances of your separation. I will take everything into account and make my decision shortly. As the hearing progressed, I felt my nerves settle. The judge finally spoke. Mr. Hart, given your role as the primary provider, I am denying Mrs. Hart's request for ongoing spousal support. Hannah's expression fell, and I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. The judge signed the paperwork, and it was over. After the hearing, Hannah didn't glance my way as she stormed out with her lawyer. I had stood my ground, and I drove away feeling a renewed sense of freedom. This was my first step toward reclaiming my life. In the weeks that followed, I was finally able to breathe. Lily seemed to sense the shift, asking about her mom less frequently. One day, I received a text from Hannah. Can we talk about Lily? Curiosity piqued. I replied. What do you want to discuss? I want to see her. She's my daughter too. I knew this moment would come, igniting a flicker of anger within me. I typed back, I'll talk to Lily and see how she feels about it. When I broached the subject with Lily, she hesitated. I don't know if I want to. That's perfectly fine. We can take our time, I reassured her. Can we make brownies? She asked, her face lighting up. Brownies it is. We spent the afternoon in the kitchen, laughing and creating a delightful mess. As time passed, I communicated with Hannah about Lily's needs. She seemed different, less confrontational, more focused on making things work. One evening, as I tucked Lily into bed, she asked, Do you think Mom is really trying to be better? I hope so, but it takes time, I replied softly. As I left her room, I felt a renewed sense of hope. We were rebuilding, step by step. One weekend, Hannah and Lily went to visit her mom, Carol, for a girls' weekend. I couldn't join them because my jobs as a firefighter made it hard to take time off. We thought it would be a nice break for them. That Saturday night, while I was at work, we received a call about a minor fire at a strip mall. As we geared up, my phone buzzed in my pocket. I usually ignored my personal phone during shifts, but something compelled me to check it. I pulled it out and saw 6 missed texts from Lily and a couple from an unknown number. Panic set in as I read Lily's messages. Dad, Mom isn't home yet. Dad, I'm scared. There are strangers here. Dad, please come home. The unknown messages sent a chill down my spine. You know she's with us. Your little girl is in our hands now. She'll be safe if you cooperate. We just want some money. I felt a surge of adrenaline like never before. My daughter's safety was on the line. I immediately called my captain, who quickly assembled our team. Get your gear on, Hart. We're going to get your girl back, my captain said. We headed out, each member fully aware of what was at stake. We traced the location of the unknown number to a rundown motel outside the city. Once we secured the perimeter, we breached the door, adrenaline coursing through our veins. The room was dark and musty, filled with the eerie silence of impending confrontation. Suddenly, I heard her voice a soft whimper. Dad! Lily! I rushed to her, my heart pounding. I quickly worked to untie her. glancing around for any sign of the intruders. "Where's your mom?" I asked. "They took her. They said they wanted money," she stammered. Rage overtook me. These cowards thought they could threaten my family? Just then, I heard footsteps approaching. "You should have listened, Hart," a voice sneered. In an instant, I turned, ready to protect my daughter. It was the leader of the group, 3 thugs total, looking more like cowards than criminals. "Step away from her," I commanded, positioning myself between Lily and the intruders. The leader smirked, brandishing a knife. "You're outnumbered." In a split second, chaos erupted. My fellow firefighters surged into the room, taking down the first 2 thugs swiftly. I lunged for the leader, grappling for control of the knife. "Get her out of here," I shouted to my team. My captain grabbed Lily, rushing her out of the room. I could hear her screams as they fled to safety. I finally managed to wrestle the knife from the leader's grasp, pinning him against the wall. "You picked the wrong family to mess with," I growled. The police arrived just in time, apprehending the remaining intruders. As I pulled away, my heart raced as I rushed to find Lily. When I reached her, she was shaking, but my captain held her tight, whispering comforting words. "I'm so sorry I wasn't there. I'll always protect you," I told her, cupping her face in my hands. She threw her arms around me, and I held her tight, vowing to never let anyone hurt her again. INT, Mark's home day, I stepped out of the room, needing a moment to breathe. The next few days passed in a blur. My focus was on Lily, making sure she felt safe and loved in the chaos. As I started consulting a lawyer, it became clear that I couldn't allow Hannah to keep me trapped in this emotional turmoil. Preparing for the upcoming divorce, I found a support group for single parents. It became my lifeline, the laughter we shared slowly filling the void left by Hannah's departure. One night, while watching a movie together, Lily turned to me and smiled. "Thanks for being there, Dad. I know things have been tough." I pulled her into a hug, overwhelmed with gratitude for our bond. "You're my priority, kiddo. We'll get through this together." In that moment, I felt a flicker of hope. I had a long road ahead, but with Lily by my side, I was ready to face any challenge. Update 1. After leaving Carol's house, I drove aimlessly for hours, my mind racing with Hannah's excuses echoing in my head. I wasn't happy. Those words replayed relentlessly, justifying her betrayal. By the time I pulled into my driveway, the house felt foreign, a once warm home now steeped in unbearable silence. I needed clarity about what came next. This wasn't just about me, it was about protecting Lily. That meant speaking to a lawyer. The thought of dragging our issues into court filled me with dread. But I wouldn't let Hannah take advantage of me any longer. If she wanted out, that was her choice, but she wouldn't take everything with her. The next morning, I called a divorce lawyer. Making that call felt like a punch to the gut, but it was necessary. I scheduled a consultation for later that week. I also needed to find the right way to talk to Lily, who didn't deserve to be caught in our mess. 2 days later, I picked Lily up from school, dreading the conversation. "Hey Lil, can we talk for a minute?" I asked as we drove home. "Sure, what's up?" she replied, shrugging. I took a deep breath. "You know how things have felt a bit off between me and your mom?" "Yeah," she said softly. "Your mom and I are getting a divorce." Her sharp intake of breath shattered me. "Is it because of that guy?" she asked, and my heart sank. She already knew. "What do you mean?" I asked, trying to remain calm. "I saw her with him at Grandma's. They hugged, and she kissed him." I was at a loss for words. My 13-year-old daughter had witnessed that, and I hadn't even known. "I'm so sorry, Lily," I said. "None of this is your fault." She nodded, tears brimming in her eyes. Are we going to be okay? Yeah, kiddo. We're going to be okay. I promise. A few days later, I met with the lawyer. Walking into her office felt surreal. I laid everything out: Hannah's affair, how she had abandoned Lily when she needed her most. Michelle, my lawyer, listened intently. Based on what you've shared, you have a strong case for primary custody, she said. Her infidelity could work in your favor. Custody. I hadn't truly considered it until now. What do you think my chances are? I asked, panic creeping in. You're the stable parent. You've been the one working and supporting the family. I nodded, relief washing over me. As I left her office, emotions churned within me: relief, anger, sadness. But one thing was clear: I wouldn't let Hannah walk all over me anymore. That weekend, Hannah came to collect her things, and I dreaded this moment. She pulled into the driveway with Alex, her new partner. I stood by the door, forcing myself to maintain composure. Hannah barely acknowledged me, heading straight to the bedroom. Alex lingered awkwardly by the car, unsure how to act. I ignored him. When Hannah finally emerged, bags in hand, she met my gaze. I'm sorry, she said quietly. No, you're not, I replied, watching her walk away. Years of marriage and the life we built together had come to an end. Update 2: the day I dreaded finally arrived. Hannah had filed for spousal support, and now we were headed to court. I wasn't thrilled about it, but I wouldn't let her take everything. She had moved in with Alex, and now wanted my money, the same money I earned while she cheated. On the morning of the hearing, anxiety coursed through me. I replayed everything my lawyer had advised, gathering all necessary documents, bank statements, bills, text messages, anything to prove I wasn't a deadbeat. I arrived at the courthouse early. The atmosphere was thick with tension. I spotted Hannah and Alex sitting together. Her eyes met mine for a brief moment before darting back to him. Anger boiled within me. My lawyer arrived just in time to guide me through the proceedings. I focused on what mattered most: Lily. I had to show the judge I could provide her with a stable home. When it was my turn to speak, I felt every eye in the room on me. Taking a deep breath, I recounted everything that had transpired, including Hannah's affair and its impact on our daughter. I noticed Hannah rolling her eyes, but I didn't care. This was about Lily. After what felt like an eternity, the judge delivered the ruling. It is in the best interest of the child to grant primary custody to Mark, with visitation rights awarded to Hannah. Relief washed over me. It was the outcome I had hoped for, but it still felt surreal. I glanced at Hannah, who looked crushed. As I left the courthouse, a mix of emotions surged through me: relief, anger, sadness, but I felt lighter. I had a long road ahead, but at least I had my daughter, and I was determined to do right by her. INT. Courtroom. Day mark. Standing before the judge. Your Honor, I've been a stay-at-home dad. While Hannah worked, I managed our home and our daughter. Now, I need support to get back on my feet. Hannah, rolling her eyes. Managed? He just sat at home while I worked hard. Mark, turning to Hannah. I was there for our daughter. You think that's nothing? Judge, ordering silence. Let's keep this civil. Mark steps out of the courthouse, feeling an overwhelming sense of relief wash over him. This isn't merely about the money, it's about standing up for himself. He refuses to let her continue taking from him after everything that's happened. She made her choices, and now she has to face the consequences. As he climbs into his car and drives away, Mark realizes this is the first step toward reclaiming his life. It won't be an easy journey, but at least he's no longer trapped in that toxic relationship. He has Lily by his side, and that's all that truly matters. Update: a few days later, the days following the court hearing blur together. For the first time in ages, Mark doesn't feel like he's constantly looking over his shoulder, bracing for another confrontation with Hannah. There's an unfamiliar emptiness, but he finally feels free to breathe again. Lily seems to sense the change too. She's asking about her mother less frequently, and their time together feels lighter. A week after the hearing, Mark receives a text from Hannah. He hesitates before opening it, but his curiosity wins out. Hannah, text: "Can we talk about Lily?" Mark stares at the screen, a mix of frustration and apprehension brewing within him. Of course, she wants to discuss Lily, not the affair or the destruction of their family. Taking a deep breath, he replies, "Mark, text: "What do you want to talk about?" Her response comes almost immediately. "Hannah, text: "I want to see her. She's my daughter too." Mark anticipated this, but it still angers him. Hannah hasn't reached out to Lily since everything fell apart. Now she wants to act like the concerned mother? After considering ignoring her message, Mark realizes that Lily deserves the opportunity to have a relationship with her mother if she wants it. He texts back, "Mark, text: "I'll talk to Lily and see how she feels about it." The conversation ends for now. He'd rather not deal with it, but he knows he must. This isn't about him, it's about what's best for Lily. Later that evening, while watching a true crime show with Lily, he decides to bring it up. Mark, turning down the volume. "Hey Lil, your mom texted me today. She wants to see you." Lily pauses, staring at the TV as if trying to avoid the conversation. After a moment of silence, Mark gently presses on. "Mark, do you want to see her?" She shrugs, clearly conflicted. "Lily, I don't know." Mark can see the turmoil in her eyes. On one hand, Hannah is her mother. On the other, Lily knows what's happened. He wants to comfort her. "Mark, it's a tough situation, but you don't have to decide right now. If you want to see her, that's okay. If you don't, that's okay too." After a moment of silence, Lily looks up at him. "I think I need more time." Mark nods, feeling a wave of relief. He knows it's best to let her decide when she's ready. "That's perfectly fine, sweetie." As the evening drifts on, Mark embraces the newfound space in their lives, hoping to create a healthy environment for Lily to thrive in. The pain of their past is still there, but they'll face it together, one day at a time.